What's up, guys? ReploidBill. This is another I Collect episode, but this time it's a little bit different. This is the special edition I Collect PlayStation episode. Every PlayStation game that has been donated to me or I found since I started rebuilding my collection. Now, I'm going to go through these games and give you a small idea of what I think of each one, and just let you know that I have them. So basically the biggest point here is if there's anything on these that you want to see in the podcast Let's Plays or something of that matter, please let me know. There'll be comment sections below. You guys know that. You watch YouTube. So let's get started because I got a good deal to get through. First off, Battle Arena Toshiden 2. That is a game that is filled with epicness. Battle Arena Toshiden 2, to be honest with you though, it's not filled with epicness. It's not super sweet. But the funnest thing about playing Battle Arena Toshiden 2 is to get someone else to play it with you so you can both experience how bad it is. And don't kid yourself, it's bad. Let's move on. Bushido Blade 2. You notice, normally I go out of my way to make sure that none of these come without a case. But sometimes I can't get lucky enough to find the case and the game, and that's just the way that it is. Bushido Blade 2 is pretty sweet. One of the coolest things about it was that you actually have like kill shots. It's like, okay, if you hit a vital organ, it's like two ninjas fighting, you hit the vital organ, they're dead. And it's a one-hit kill game. Games go fast, like lightning fast. Sometimes less than 3 seconds is an entire fight. So it's pretty ridiculous. But that's where the appeal of the game is, actually. Now, next thing, Future Cop LAPD. What can I tell you about Future Cop LAPD? It's terrible. It's terrible. Let's move on. Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. This game is a little bit better than Future Cop. To be fair, the Tomb Raider games weren't terrible, but they're certainly dated nowadays, and it's one of those things that you really just can't get away from. Like, these games are old, and they feel old, and there's just nothing you can do. I mean, they ran on the same control scheme for years, and they refused to evolve, and it caused the destruction of their entire series, and they had no choice but to start revamping the series, and that's how we ended up with Tomb Raider Legends, and off of that, luckily, we got a game that was just bad enough for another company to take up the reins and give us the new Tomb Raider game, and it's way superior, so there's that. Star Wars. This is Star Wars Masters of Teras Kasai or something like that. Look, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how to say that. All I'm going to say to you is that if you are a fan of fighting games, if you like fighting games with really good combos, fighting games with lightning fast reaction time, with well-designed characters, with great visual effects, with a smorgasbord of just mastering, like easy to start, difficult to master. Once you've mastered the game, you know, the newbie doesn't come in and rock all over you. We're talking like, this is not that game. Game sucks. It's a terrible game. and we need to go to something else to forget it. Oh, Well, this is nice. Here's something. This is the first Tekken. The first Tekken game is not bad. It's really not bad. You've got to think back for its time and everything. Tekken, if I'm not mistaken, started the idea of hit a button 3 times and get a combo. You notice it a lot now in things like everything from Soul Calibur and different things like that. Almost every game is hit the button 3 times, that's a 3-hit combo, and then you can move into more extreme combos from there. So they made it easily accessible while at the same time giving you just enough challenge to move forward. And at the time, their slogan was pretty sweet too, because I'm a Street Fighter fan, but I've got to admit, when they said, "The burning in your chest is caused by your broken ribs, not the fireball," that was some sweet marketing. It did a real good job. Here's the second Tekken. The second Tekken, it does a good job of moving the series forward, but it wasn't really that big of an improvement. It just kind of took a step forward. And we're not talking anything major. Now this was a pretty big deal. Tekken 3 was one of those games that you almost have to see it to believe it. Like, it did move the whole franchise forward. It looked great, surpassing a lot of what you've seen on other fighting games. It had a whole lot of characters. There was pretty good depth to it, and it was all around a really good game. Now, here's a game that a lot of people went crazy for. I didn't go crazy for this, but it was a great game. Here's Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That's not saying that I don't play it. It's just that I was never really a part of the whole skateboard scene, and it never really mattered as much to me. I didn't get into it like a lot of other people did, but I had a good time with it. I was more the RPG type person. And speaking in which, one of the greatest RPGs ever made, possibly massively overlooked, is right here. Xenogears. For anybody that remembers Xenosaga, Xenogears supposedly is the 5th game of the series, and Xenosaga is supposed to be the stuff that happened before. Since the Xenosaga never caught up with what Xenogears was, let me try to explain it to you. It'd be as if a Gundam crash-landed in your town, and your town is under attack by, say, the Zeon. You get in it, you defend your home at the price of destroying the town that you live in. They exile you, you take you and your big Gundam, and you're exiled, you leave. And this leads to you running into another person, become a part of some battle militia, captured by pirates, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And the coolest thing about it was being able to make the mechs. Like, upgrade the mechs and change it and learn different moves. It also had a fighting system that has to be pointed out. A lot of people seem to think, and Legaia kind of gets credit for this, Legends of Legaia. Well, Xenogears did it first. If you hit something like square square X or square X square, it would do the move, bomb, bomb, bomb. Then it would go, bow. You would activate your combo, your special thing, and then it would do the special move for the input that you did. And of course, as you went up in levels, you got access to more special moves and bigger combos. For anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, all I can say to you is that Xenogears is one of those games that if you haven't played it, if you could track it down, play this game. And in fact, you're in luck, because if I'm not mistaken, it's on the network right now for like $5. Look, $5 is a hell of a bundle to be able to play something that was that good. This was a Squaresoft classic, and it's massively overlooked, and it's real sad that it's massively overlooked. You don't know Jack. You don't know Jack. Let me explain you don't know Jack. This guy asks questions. Some of the worst trick questions you've ever had to answer in your life, and then he insults you for not being able to answer the questions. That's the game. It's fun to play with people. If you've never seen it, check it out. There's a version on the 3DS, so that's a good way to get started in it. So, moving on, I was a big Twisted Metal fan. Twisted Metal 2. Twisted Metal 2 is one of those great car games. Some people are into Vigilante 8, but Twisted Metal 2 really had this dark sense of humor to it that made it what it is. And I'll never forget Twisted Metal. I'm a huge fan. I'm still a huge fan, and I'm hoping that they can pick up where they left off someday with Twisted Metal 2 and kind of make it better. And I know Twisted Metal Black kind of did that, but I don't know. There's something that felt lacking still. Twisted Metal 3 was the first one that 989 Studios took over. When 989 Studios took over, it became more of a funny game. And that's not necessarily saying it was bad. It was still intense, and it was car battle, and it was fun. And during its time, there were other games out there that were trying to imitate, and Twisted Metal was still on top. The last one is Twisted Metal 4. Twisted Metal 4, a great game. I would say easily it's better than Twisted Metal 3. And, just, for me it's a bonus. Selectable car is the Dragula. Selectable car driver, Rob Zombie, is in this game as a playable character, and he rocks. He's one of the best guys you can use in the game. That's sweet. Tomb Raider 1. It's where it all started, guys. It's where it all started. This game, and I don't know why. I can't say that it was necessarily revolutionary, and I can't say that having a female in the lead was something that we were necessarily unused to. But if I had to guess what made this game so big, what really drug this game to the level that it reached is, one, it was a lot more open world than I think we were used to at the time. The second thing that really catches my attention, even to this day, is that it was a woman. Not only was it a woman, but even though she was a sexy woman, it was taken seriously. Like, they portrayed her more as a person. And even as the years went on, the sex appeal got a lot more in your face, especially since her top started cutting all the way down to here, which, look, I'm not going to complain about that, but at the same time, I'm going to say that it kind of took away from what they were trying to do. They wanted an Indiana Jones type of upper-class English adventure lady that could fall back into the 1930s serial action stars and be right on par with what they were doing. And as they sexualized the character more and more and more and more over the years, they kind of lost it. Luckily, it feels like it's making a turnaround nowadays, but we just won't know for sure until we let this series go 4 or 5 installments. Front Mission 3. Front Mission 3 is wow. Front Mission 1 was okay. Front Mission 2 was okay. Front Mission 3 is the best of the series. Hands down, it had the best characters, the best story, the best robots. Everything about this game is better than 4. Everything about this game is better than the crappy Evolved game. Front Mission 3 is the front mission to play. Hands down, the best one they ever did. And then, Armored Core, Masters of Arena. Wow! Look, Armored Core was amazing already. Then, they released this version, Master of Arena. The idea here was simple. The combatants of Raven, which is the bounty hunter organization that sends you out to do your missions, they kind of become, I don't know if you could say they grew stale or what, but essentially to keep from fighting amongst themselves, an arena opens. And they turn it into more like a sport. Throughout the course of the game, while you're doing normal missions, you can also go in and you can fight in the arenas. And then there came an extra added bonus. You could design your own mechs, form your own 10 level arena, give the AI that you want for it to use more of this type of weapon, more of that type of weapon, get in your face, stay back, dodge more. It was great. It was great. I think I spent so much time on this game. I remember I built, and the Gundam Wing was on at the time, so we built every single Gundam in Gundam Wing, one by one, and then created an arena, and then said that, like, Hiro had to go through it, you know, in the wing, and it was fun, okay? I had a lot of fun making my own game, and that's something, customization is something that seems to get left out of a lot of games, even today, and that was loaded with it. It's a lot of fun. Anybody that likes mech combat, anybody that likes customization, that's where you need to be. One of the biggest classics of the entire series, if not the biggest classic of the entire series, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of my most favorite, most prized games to still have in its case. I don't have the book anymore, makes me sad face, but this game is mind-blowing. I still play it today, and there's not a single person I've ever introduced it to that hasn't been just as ecstatic as me about the game later on, being like, I can't believe I missed out on this. Or they're playing it like 6 months after I told them about it, and they're like, I'm still playing Castlevania. This game is not like the games we're playing today. The closest you can get is the DS or the Game Boy Advance. There was a couple games that kind of followed in its footsteps, but nothing ever even came close to capturing the magic of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Now, for some RPG fans, I'm going to lay a shocker on you. This here is Chrono Cross. Supposedly, it is the next part to the Chrono Trigger games, or rather, a part of them. To this day, I have never played past the first dungeon. I bought this game many, many, many years ago, when the PlayStation was still around. I played the first dungeon, something else came out, I started playing that, I didn't go back to it. Am I telling you it's bad? I'm telling you I don't know. I can't give an honest opinion on the game, I've never gone back to it. But maybe that does say something in its own right. Crash Bandicoot! Crash Bandicoot, this is 2 of course, was, everybody remembers that every single system had to have a mascot. And, of course, you had Sonic, and that was Sega, and then you had Mario, and that was Nintendo, and the different things like that. But Crash became Sony's mascot. He was this loud, obnoxious, like, just crazy thing, Bandicoot, and I remember the commercials were great because he would like go to Nintendo of America and he'd like have a megaphone and he'd yell into their windows like weird stuff like, so when are we gonna make good games? That's what people are looking for today, right? Some good games? Don't worry, we got it. You guys can just keep doing what you're doing. Like that was great. The creativity of the commercials alone made me buy the game, and then I was lucky to figure out that it was actually a really good game. For anybody that remembers Resident Evil, this is Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis is one of those games that by the third game, it'd fallen apart so bad that we were never going to see another. I realize that Dino Crisis kind of gets in this, it kind of gets hurt. Because they say it's from the makers of Resident Evil, and all they really did was put dinosaurs in place of zombies. While this is true, the game was actually well done, and it has a pretty good atmosphere about it. I mean, for one, dinosaurs are kind of scary. I don't want to fight dinosaurs. I don't think you want to fight dinosaurs. I mean, if you do, that's your thing, but I don't want to fight dinosaurs. So, I guess that's just the way it is. Some games go over real well, and some don't. And I'd say that if you have the chance to play the first Dino Crisis, try it out. I don't think it was that bad. I think people have kind of given it a worse rep than it deserves. Don't play Dino Crisis 3. It'll just waste a part of your life. Final Fantasy VIII. What I have to say about Final Fantasy VIII can all be heard in the Final Fantasy Legacy podcasts. If anybody hasn't seen the Final Fantasy, or rather heard the Final Fantasy podcasts, and you don't care to go to the website, or for whatever reason you guys haven't seen it, or if you're just coming in and just starting to watch the videos that we do, I'm going to be reposting all of the Final Fantasy Legacy game by game, right here on the YouTube channel. So, just go ahead and keep waiting, and I'll give you a better idea of Final Fantasy VIII from that. However, what I will say is that when it came out, I never played a game that felt like I was watching a DVD. And that's really that's the impression it gave me back then. What do you do when Tekken bores you and all you want to do is play an RPG? You make Guys. Guys is one of those experiments in gaming. One of those weird games that should have probably never gotten off the shelf to begin with. Bunch of cliche fighting characters show up. Everything from the old man that does the Iron Fist technique to the little girl with a yo-yo who's obviously pulled out of an anime to the guy that's missing a hand and he's got a gun. And then you take Cloud, Tifa, Yuffie, Vincent, you put them in a game, a fighting game, and you pump out one of the most mediocre fighting engines you could possibly imagine to put out. Sounds like I'm downing this game, doesn't it? I understand. By today's standards, I have no choice but to say the game is it's an experiment in gaming. But it is a worthwhile experiment. Even though it sounds like I'm talking bad about it, if you can find a copy of Guys, it is like nothing else you've played in this aspect. One, it's a fighting game. Two, it's like an RPG dungeon crawler. The third game is like a Mario Party. It has racing, beach volleyball, some sort of weird tag game, a dodging game, a dungeon crawler, and a fighting game. All of them are all mini-game level fun. But here in our society today, where the cell phone game is becoming a lot more common, I'd say that the world is ready to try Guys again and give these mini-games one more test, because Guys is really a gem hidden in the libraries of the PlayStation era. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'm telling you, it's pretty sweet. And right along next to it, any anime fan needs to own this. Evil Zone is a super simple fighting game that's very easy to start playing, very difficult to master. And once you get there, it's incredibly fun, fast-paced battle. What else can I say about Evil Zone? Evil Zone is fun. And any anime fan can pick the cliches out, from the terrible voice acting, to the way the lips don't match up with what's being said, to the character design. We have everything from a Power Ranger, to a guy possessed by a sword, to an evil sorceress, to a vampire. Like, there's even the giant oversized sword bounty hunter included in this game. Every single one of them is loaded with personality, and the arcade style fight when you go up the line, that's pretty sweet, because every single one is presented as its own anime, as if the character you picked is the main character of that anime. It's fun, I'm telling you. I'm going to do a podcast Let's Play of it to let you guys see exactly what it's like, and I promise you guys, it's filled with personality. Final Fantasy Anthology. All Final Fantasy fans, anybody that missed the Super Nintendo era, that has not bothered to go back, you have made a critical mistake. Critical. Find Final Fantasy Anthology, or go on to the network and buy 6, at least. 5 I'll also recommend, but definitely get Final Fantasy VI. It is by far one of the greatest, if not the greatest game in the entire series. Hands down, easily. I don't even have to argue. I don't have to work it up. All I'm going to do is say, go get it. If you haven't played it, you've made a tragic mistake, because Final Fantasy XIII, it doesn't even come close. I don't care how flash-oriented the game is. Final Fantasy 13 does not hold a candle to what they pulled off in Final Fantasy 6. And then we come to Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9, a lot of people love this game to death. A lot of people see it as their greatest gaming experience. And though I don't share your opinion, I can say that Spencer here, the guy that does some videos with us, he sees it as his favorite game out of all the Final Fantasies he's played, with Final Fantasy 6 trailing barely behind it. Final Fantasy 9 to me is not that great, but there will be a Final Fantasy Legacy podcast coming out for it. So keep your ears open for that, I guess. Open the ears and maybe watch too, if that's, fun. This is the only part of Final Fantasy Chronicles I have. Final Fantasy IV for the PlayStation. I do not have Chrono Trigger. And that's a tragedy. But that's the way it is. This, I would like to tell you, is another copy of Final Fantasy VIII, but it's not. It's not even supposed to be here, because that's my copy of the Blue Fire edition of Final Fantasy VII for the computer. So, yeah, I have that. And, do I recommend it? Yes, because now they have those guys out there that have done the Final Fantasy high def mods. Attach it to this, enjoy Final Fantasy VII again. Or 8. No, it's 7. It's 7. Sorry. Confusion with the case and things, and the fact that this is Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, to me, it's the second best game ever produced by the Final Fantasy Legacy. Possibly trailing on third would possibly be the Final Fantasy IV PSP Complete Collection. That's my favorite version of 4. But that's not what we're talking about. We were talking about Final Fantasy VII. If you guys haven't played it, network. Right now. After the video. It's like, right then! Right then! Gran Turismo! Who remembers Gran Turismo? Who remembers buying cars and spending hours upon hours to level them up and doing all the different tweaks and driving on the tracks and being all exciting and thinking you were a race car driver and going 320 miles an hour while still looking at the screen as if you were only moving about 10. People like Gran Turismo. I don't. Hate me, love me, doesn't matter. I hated Gran Turismo then. I don't care for it now. Why do I own it? Because I do not sell my games even if I didn't care for them when I got them. Gundam Battle Assault 2. In the 2D Gundam fighting games, there are 2 games that sit at the top of my list. This is my number 2 favorite fighting game for Gundam battles. My second is for the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom to be more precise, and it was called Gundam Wing Endless Duel. That was the best. This is my close second. It's pretty sweet 2D action. Mega Man Legends 2. What can I say about Mega Man Legends 2? I can say that Capcom is a big piece of shit for canceling Mega Man 3 and then blaming it on the fans. Anybody that doesn't know that that's what happened, that's what happened. We want Mega Man Legends 3. We want Mega Man, period. And even though I'm super stoked that he's appearing in Smash Brothers, where is Mega Man? We need a new game fashioned directly for him and not a side project like an RPG or something that he can appear in. Where's Mega Man X9? Mega Man X8, there's no excuse. Mega Man X8 was one of the, I think it was the best Mega Man X game in the franchise aside from Part 1. So, There's no way you can make a game that's that good and then just cancel the series. And Mega Man Legends aside, that's a game that people have been looking forward to for years. Screwed out of it. And I hope Capcom gets what they deserve if they don't turn their crap around real soon. And that brings us to Metal Gear Solid. And some tactical espionage needs to be done on their company so that, you know, maybe we can destroy whatever evil is going on there and get us our good stuff back. Metal Gear is definitely something that we're going to be talking about, but I'm going to save it for like I think we're going to do a Metal Gear Legacy, because Metal Gear is one of those game franchises that everybody here at staff loves because it's amazing. Moving on. This is Spyro the Dragon. Thank you. This is Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve, great RPG for its time, great RPG for today even. It was a lot of fun. It kind of felt like a survival horror RPG, but it was awesome. The first and the second one are both on the network, so if you don't have a physical copy, you can check it out there. And I want to say they're super cheap, no more than $5. Going back, this is Spyro the Dragon. Yeah. There's two Spyro the Dragons. If you guys like Spyro the Dragon, I'm sorry. I don't. For some reason, nothing about that game is appealing to me. Nothing. Don't know why. I like to be a bandicoot. I don't like to be a baby dragon. Don't know why. Final game, Need for Speed 3. This game I prefer 1,000 times before I would ever play Gran Turismo. Need for Speed 3 did exactly what I wanted. It was fast. It had attitude. Even though it wasn't super, like, how do I put this? It wasn't all about just tweaking your car over and over and over again. There was just a couple upgrades you could give it. There was a little bit of customization. The rest of it was left up to the gameplay to tell the story. And that is where games are starting to hurt nowadays, is there's way too much flash and way too much what they think is creativity without actually looking into the gameplay. This has been my PlayStation library. Every single thing that I've acquired since I've been rebuying my collection on the PlayStation. This has been I Collect, where I show you what I've collected, and then tell you whether or not it's worth your time. I hope this gave you some ideas, and I hope that if some of these games were things that you haven't bought for your collection, or if you didn't know they were on the network, or perhaps you just never really had anybody to tell you whether or not they were worth your time. Now you know. This is PlayStation 1. It's worth your time.